the royalty and the catalyst fee that we're going to take. Uh, the $2 million that we're charging for the licensee is actually comes down to 2.5 cents per gram of CNT produced. That is because we're giving a 10-year license to the producers, and the 10-year license enables them to produce 80 metric tons of carbon nanotubes. That makes it 2.5 cents of per gram of CNT. Apart from that, we're charging a 1 cent per gram of royalty fee, and we have also patented the catalyst that we are going to provide the producers. So we are going to make approximately two um, approximately 2 cents per gram of margin on that. So these are the three revenue sources for us.
Actually, we will be covering this in more details as we go on the presentation. So,
Sure. I mean, it's an interesting idea to conduct your business on a licensee basis because the investment costs you push onto your customer, the marketing costs you push onto your customer, but then the viability of your business therefore becomes the viability of the business for your customer. While while you may not have to do the marketing, they will have to market the nano products to a third party. So you're dependent on them for them to sell the nano products on. Would you be assisting them in any way, or is it going to be left you're going to leave it to them?
actually, I mean, we mentioned that we have two types of customers. So, one, we have customers like Bayer Medical Sciences and Showa Denko, who are already producing a majority of the world's CNDs right now. So, they do have already a sales and customer base in their hands, right? We know that for them to produce a gram of CNT is around $10 to $50. What we're asking, if you see our cost, what we're asking is just even less than $1, right? So these people have the customers in hand. They are reducing their cost by almost 1/10 to 1/50th. So there's no reason that we can see that why they would not be interested in taking such a technology in their own hands. And on the other hand, we have people like the process industries who have the exhaust plants. For example, Tata Power also has a Tata Motor manufacturing plant. So why can't they use their exhaust gases to produce CNT which they can use in their own cars? And this is at absolutely almost close to nil cost. So I mean, we don't see a reason why any of these customers, the process industries or the current CNT producers, would have any challenge in taking being a part of our business plan.
So
Back
let me.
to my original question. Why should I invest in a licensing company? Because you have one license, 30 years exclusive contract. But then you have a Damascus Fortune, which is the company that actually do the invention and have the patent owner. Why should I invest in FluTube? Because I should invest in Damascus Fortune.
Sure. The way the relationship between Damascus Fortune and FluTubes is, Damascus Fortune is a research-based organization. It does research in other areas besides carbon nanotubes, and FluTubes is the commercialization arm for the carbon nanotube business of Damascus Fortune.
Does FluTube has the exclusivity or first right refusals to commercialize everything that Damascus Fortune produce?
So
Does FluTube has that?
FluTubes has the exclusive license to commercialize the carbon nanotube part of the Damascus Fortune business. Not everything, because
Okay.
we do not because we are working on a different set of technologies. It would not be prudent at this point of time to predict how would the research results look in the future. That's one thing. And second, carbon nanotubes is a specialized business. For value judgment in a company as specialized as carbon nanotube, for the investors to appreciate that true value, the embedded value in that business, we believe that it would be prudent to have it as a standalone business rather than mixing it up with other complex technology-driven businesses, which could potentially undermine the synergistic value for the organization as a whole.
In that case, what's the arrangement of Damascus Fortune and FluTubes in terms of this licensing? For example, if FluTube sells a lot, does it have to pay Damascus Fortune a lot? Is variable or is it fixed?
The way it is structured is Damascus Fortune is owned 100% by Vivek, and Damascus Fortune owns 85% of FluTubes. The commercial arrangement between Damascus and Flue Tubes is that Damascus has given us the exclusive license for the period of patency, which is 20 years, to use this technology for a return of a token payment. So there is no consideration flow, a significant consideration flow.
So is it variable or is it fixed?
No, it's a fixed
So it's fixed.
fee. Yeah.
Regardless of how much Flue Tube sells.
That's right. Because it's just a token amount to fulfill contractual
How
obligations.
much is that per year?
It's about $1,000 flat fee per year. So
1,000 or 100,000?
$1,000.
1,000.
And the reason we need a token amount is because without a consideration, a contract is not enforceable. Okay. So we have a token value just to make the contract enforceable. Otherwise, there is no consideration flow from Flue Tubes to Damascus.
All right.
What can we foresee as the exit strategy of the potential investor, as a potential investor?
So what we are proposing is that over a period of 5 years, when we see our business to stabilize, the venture capital fund or the investor can exit. And we would propose that the preferred exit strategy remains cashing out to a PE fund, a mid-market growth-focused PE fund in technology and material domain. People like BASF Capital who are doing some work in related areas. And the reason why we are proposing an exit to a PE fund and not an IPO is because at the end of 5 years, we see that there is still a potential for value maximization at that stage, which would make it beneficial for us to bring it to the market at a later stage and not at the end of 5 years. We obviously would be delighted to have our investors on board for longer period of time, but I think the kind of work these private equity players are doing, they would have an interest in this technology. They would be able to offer remunerative returns to the investors.
I think I'll get back to the presentation. The next part, I mean, I've already covered the market, the applications, and I just wanted to cover what is actually stopping us and how, as Flue Tubes, are we going to tackle those challenges. So I hand it over to my colleague, Vivek Nair, who also happens to be the CEO and inventor of this technology. Over to you, Vivek.
Thank you, Sid. I'll go through the technology a little bit more. So Flue Tubes has got an innovative technology in hand which converts the carbon emissions from the industries and automobiles into carbon nanotubes by an energy efficient methodology. Conventionally, carbon nanotubes are produced in industries and small laboratories by a process called as carbon vapor deposition method. In this, you can see a traditional furnace that is being used. So in that furnace, you have to provide high temperature, around 600 to 800 degrees Celsius, high vacuum, and you have to burn hydrocarbons to get carbon emissions and then deposit it over a catalytical substrate. So this involves a lot of energy, like you have to spend money for the high temperature, pressure, the hydrocarbons. So if you see, all these conditions are inherently present and surprisingly wasted in existing industries. So what I did was, I had a novel catalyst with me, which I have designed. I inserted that in a traditional furnace, and luckily I got carbon nanotubes. So that's how it worked. And by that, I am not only ready, using the exhaust gas and waste heat, but also doing a very big impact on the environment. So, so let me take you through the process. We make catalyst in a normal chemical method, and then coat the slurry over an alumina substrate, which is an inert substrate, and then insert it in the flue gas path for 10 minutes, and then it's taken out, and it's scrapped off to get carbon nanotubes, and there's a purification protocol in hand, which actually purifies it to the best quality. And carbon nanotubes looks something like that. It's of order of 10 nanometers, something like 1 billion to 10 billionth of a meter. And in this, traditionally we will be approaching industries where we will be accessing their manholes, and the manholes, through the manholes we will be passing the alumina crucible, which is coated with a catalyst, which stays inside the furnace for 10 minutes long, and then is taken back, scrapped off, re-coated with a catalyst, again inserted. So this process goes on, and thereby producing large amounts of carbon nanotubes. So we have successfully tested this technology in Neyveli Lignite Corporation, which is a thermal power plant in India, and also in Maruti Modern Rice Mill, which is agro-based industry, and also in Chennai Petroleum and Corporation Limited, Tamil Nadu, where we get different types of carbon nanotubes. Like we get single-walled from the thermal power plants. From agro-based, we get majority multi-walled, and from Chennai Petroleum and Corporation Limited, we get double-walled as well as even single-walled. So what competitive advantage do we have? So the traditional carbon nanotubes cost about around $10 to $50, depending upon the type, while our carbon nanotubes are just $1 per gram. Apart from that, the traditional conventional process gives out 4 grams of carbon emissions per 1 gram of carbon nanotube that is produced, while we consume the 5 grams of carbon emissions that's anyway out due to some other processes and convert them into 1 gram. So net, we have a 9 gram carbon emission profit. So when scaled up to metric tons, 8 metric tons, we can, into 9, that's around 72 metric tons of carbon emissions that we can reduce in 1 year. So that's how we tackle the technology. Now, we have a PCT and an Indian patent, complete Indian patent file. Apart from that, our technology has been recognized by National Research Development Corporation, which is the government of India enterprise, whereby they gave us the Budding Innovators Award for the year, 2011. Our technology has also been noted by Technology Review, MIT's Technology Magazine. I have been listed in the 30 under 30 category, energy category by the Forbes for the revolutionary technology in hand. And apart from that, our technology is coming in a documentary by Public Broadcasting Services USA, where they will be showing this technology in a TV program called as BizKid, which will be broadcasted in 50 states of US, UK, Malaysia, and Singapore. So that's how, that's few of our accolades. And next, to handle the commercialization aspect of our technology, I will hand over to Kabir.
Sorry, if I may, a question.
Yeah, sure.
Is the production of these nanotubes temperature independent?
Yes. Thanks that you asked that. Why? Because this technology, one of the major invention plus point that we have is we can produce, traditionally carbon nanotubes are produced in a very high temperature equipment. So you cannot produce carbon nanotubes at 100 degrees Celsius. But we have been able to produce carbon nanotubes even at 100 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius. And based on the temperature, we get different varieties of carbon nanotubes. That's why in rice mills, where the temperature is around 150 to 100 degrees Celsius, we get multi-wall in majority. While in thermal power plants and the petrochemical industries, we have a varied range of temperatures across the furnace. And hence, we can get single wall nanotubes and double wall nanotubes. That's a unique advantage. And the same temperature gives us the advantage to use this technology even in automobiles.
So anybody could develop a unit to add to their exhaust pipe of their cars and come out producing carbon nanotubes?
Yes. They can use our catalyst and our technology to produce.
I think this is already happening, by the way. It is being done in the US by another company. But the other question I have for you is, today we talk of carbon nanotubes, but nanotechnology has progressed to the stage where there will be these similar kind of nanotubes from other elements. The one that I believe is closest right now is in fact silicon, is that right? Would that be a competitor to you?
Okay. So carbon nanotubes, basically it comes under the carbon world. Carbon has got many advantages compared to silicon. Silicon has got its own limitations. That's why Intel could not go beyond 22 nanometer node, and they're struggling to do that. While IBM, which does multiple research in different areas, they don't just stick to silicon, and hence they moved on to carbon nanotube. In the latest report, they say they have been able to produce an 8 nanometer node. That's 1/3 of the existing size that Intel is offering. So they would provide a better machinery, better energy, better processors with very less leakage current, and hence, there will be a bigger advantage that carbon nanotubes offers over silicon. And to the one more point that you added, the industry in America which produces carbon, they don't produce carbon